Hey there, my friend Chad Reyes. I'm so excited to be on the leadership table with you. Today, we're going to be talking about bringing impact through alignment. And we use our business model alignment. And today, our whole call is going to be really going much more in depth on this thing we call business model alignment. You know, when we work with organizations and we work with ministries, we talk about this BMA. And the reason is that I'm going to give you the science behind it first. Then what I want to do from there is I want to talk through why and how this alignment happens. Okay? So there is a book called Good to Great by Jim Collins. You probably heard of it. Good to Great talks about organizations that have a good leader or a great leader and how they were more successful than the S&P 500 and the companies that were in that sector. So just as an example, if we're looking at a company that was in the oil industry as an example, or let's take that away, hospitality. So a company that was in hospitality, the S&P results over a 10-year period of time on average was about 120% return. Good to great companies were about 330%. So it was almost 3 times the level of just the S&P. That's a good return compared to companies that were in the S&P, and these are all publicly traded companies. Good to great companies were 3 times as successful. But what I found interesting is there was a book called Firms of Endearment, and Firms of Endearment spoke about how companies that led with purpose and vision and values and really cared about making wins for all the key stakeholders, how they were much more successful. They were actually almost 10 times more successful than the S&P, and they were 3.5 times more successful than the good to great companies. And when you really think about it, it's broken into 2 parts. Every organization should really be thinking about smart and heart, or actually the opposite, heart first and then smart. So what I want to do is I want to unpack heart, which is part 1, and smart, which is part 2. In part 1, in heart, these organizations that thrive, they lead with purpose, vision, and values. Now, I just want to unpack each one of them for you. Purpose is, why does that organization exist? That's the why. Why does the organization exist? And organizations that are clear on their why are able to, 1, be much more sustainable long term, and 2, they get buy-in and more profitability. The first part is purpose. Let's talk about the second now. It's vision. You see, when we know our why the organization exists, and we're clear on the vision, and I would encourage you to go as far as you can see, because when you get there, you'll be able to see further. But in a vision, if you could see 3 years out, great, then have a 3-year vision. If you could see 10 years out, have a 10-year vision. If you could see 50 years out, have a 50-year vision. Now, this is the thing I don't want to confuse, though. Don't confuse vision with how. Please don't do that. Vision is, I'll give you an example of our coaching company. We're in the process of franchising our coaching company. That's a vision, to have 1,000 locations throughout the United States. Now, how we do that will change based off of technology changes, based off of different demographic changes, economic changes. Our how, I'm not as attached to the how as I am to the what. The why we do it, and then the what, the vision. The how will change. So when we look at the heart side of it, we need to be very clear on purpose, why it exists, vision, where we're going, and then values. I'll share with you why values are so important, because values will drive your actions. I know for me that when a decision has to be made, I am always leaning on my values. When I have to make a decision, my wife and I have to make an important decision, what are our values? Now, The powerful part about defining values is that it allows you to be accountable. Because if I don't tell you what my values are, then I can say, well, I leaned on my values and my values could be whatever I want them to be. I'm going to share with you my values so you could keep me accountable. Sounds good? We created values in all of our companies and in our family called LISTENS, LISTENS. Lifelong learner. Why lifelong learner? Because I believe that everything you and I want is based on us growing. The vision that I have, the vision that my wife has, is fully predicated on our ability to grow so that that vision can become a reality. So lifelong learner is a very important value to us. Intentional. I know that people that are intentional accomplish their dreams and visions. People that are not intentional have dreams that become nightmares. Stewardship. Valuing and stewarding the relationships that have been entrusted to us. Teamwork. Empowering our teams to perform at their peak. Excellence. Doing things with excellence and making sure that me as a person of faith, that when someone sees a product that we put to market, whether it's a message that I'm communicating, whether it's a marketing piece, whether it's a final product and a delivery to a client, I want it to be done with excellence because it's the greatest way that I could have the God that I love and serve reflect through my actions. Non-attachment, giving my absolute best without being attached to the outcome. And then the last one, which we recently added, was simplicity. Now, why did we add simplicity? We added simplicity because I realized as our organizations were growing that things were getting more complex. And the only way to continue to grow is to figure out ways to make it simple. If you think about it, if you keep growing and you do not simplify, eventually your business will become so complicated that you won't be able to grow. Your ministry will become so complicated it won't be able to grow. So when we look at the heart, that heart then drives everything on the second part, which is smart. You see, when we're clear on purpose, when we're clear on vision, and when we're clear on values, that will then drive us to the smart side of it, giftedness, strategy, and metrics. So today I'm gonna unpack some of that for you because I really want to encourage you as a leader to break both of them, do both of them really well. Some people will lead with purpose, vision, and values, and that's great. And they rally their people, but then they don't actually use people's strengths, giftedness. They don't have a strategy, an intentional strategy of how they're going to grow. And then they don't have metrics and accountability. So if you do one without the other, you never really get the full impact of having a business model alignment. So let's talk about the second part, giftedness. We have a giftedness assessment that we use. And that assessment is designed to understand the strengths of leaders so that they can use most of their giftedness to make the greatest impact for their organizations and get the most fulfillment. We have a simple principle that we use called the 75-20-5 principle. That means that 75% of our time we want to spend in the areas of our giftedness. 20% of the time we want to spend in the areas that we're okay. And 5% of the time we want to spend in areas that are our weakness. It's a nice formula that allows us to drive impact because this is what I know. As a leader, I know that if you start at poor, the best you'll ever become is average if you're using weaknesses. But when you start in a strength, you start at average, and if you refine that skill set, you'll eventually get to great. And we live in a world that people want greatness. They don't want average. Now, I'm not saying that people aren't average. I'm saying people want to pay for something that's not poor. They want to pay for excellence. And you can only become excellent in an area of a strength. And now that goes against probably what we've all heard in leadership, but I train leaders all over the world. I train organizations and entrepreneurs and CEOs, and this giftedness is so key. If you go to chadreyes.com, you'll be able to go to resources and you'll be able to find out about our giftedness report there. I'd encourage you to check it out. You know, as you're listening to this leadership table, I'm so excited as we keep going further and more around how we can plan for our 2025. The reason why on these tables I'm going week to week with a little bit more deeper is so that we can get a lot of meat and potatoes to build the best 25 year. 2025 should be your best year because you're going in more intentional, more strategic. So as you go from giftedness now, and now you move to strategy, you want to come up with a strategy for the different areas of your organization or your ministry. You want to build a strategy around marketing, a strategy around people development, a strategy around finance, a strategy around technology, a strategy around product development. What is your strategy to accomplish it? A strategy around business development and sales. See, the greater we build strategy and we use the talents and gifts of everyone else around us, the higher probability that our ministry and our organization will be impactful. And then the last one is metrics. And how does every person in the team and the organization, the metrics align to the cause, the purpose, and the vision? But what is each person's responsibility that will drive the outcomes that we want to see for the success of this organization or ministry? That's what the business model alignment allows you to do. It allows you to align action behind intention. And as we talk about it, this leadership table message around bringing alignment through bringing impact through alignment is so key, because if we do the business model alignment well, and we do the next thing that I'm about to share with you, it changes the game for impact. Let me share with you. It's called the SCALE method, SCALE method. It's proprietary to our organization, and it's something that we go much deeper in when we're coaching organizations and leaders. But I want you to understand framework at least, so you could use this to build your 2025. So the SCALE method, it was a study that was done by 400,000 leaders per year for 40 years. So you're talking about millions and millions and millions of leaders. And the question that they had to ask, that they were asking, was a survey of what do you find leaders that are successful, what do they do well, and organizations that are successful, what do they do well? And these 5 things. So the S, and I'm going to unpack it a little bit for you. The S is they share common vision. They share common vision. So successful organizations and leaders, they're able to share common vision, and they rally their people behind it, behind a common vision. You and I know, as people of faith, a house divided against itself can't stand. So that's the power of a shared common vision. It's a unity. It's a team. It's people all moving in one accord. Powerful, so powerful. The second, the C, is where we challenge the process. Now, if you notice, I said challenge the process, not challenge the people. Challenging the process, what that means is that we're challenging the people to become better in their approach to improving. And on one of the previous episodes, I shared about the cycle of success. And what is that? When we challenge the process, what we actually are doing is we're challenging the test, fail, learn, improve, re-enter. Challenging the process is we try something, it didn't work, it failed. We learn from it, we improve, and we re-enter. In that improvement process, I'd ask you right now to start using AI. How can AI improve this? 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 It's so powerful. That's the C. So we have share common vision, challenge the process. Let me give you the A. Always speak to the heart. Now, why is that important? Because we're leading people. And when we lead people, people have emotions. People want to feel valued. People need to know that they matter, right? So always speaking to the heart is knowing that you're motivating people that what matters to them. So it's really powerful. We use this business model alignment, purpose, vision, values, giftedness, strategy, metrics, plus scale. This brings impact through alignment. Wow. The L, lead by example. The greatest impact you and I will have as a leader is the ability for people to see what we say in our actions. It's what John Maxwell talks about, having moral authority, because we talk about things that we're doing. You know, one of the things that I've recognized is that I really move away from talking about things that I don't know about, because I have people that sometimes will ask me, hey, can you share on this message? And I say, I can't. And they're like, why? I said, I don't know it. I won't be able to speak with confidence and have a moral authority. So I try to stay the best that I can in the areas that I do have moral authority in. And I could tell you that scale method, business model alignment, I use that. My wife and I in our companies, we use that. We train leaders all over to use these two things to bring alignment to their organizations. It's amazing, because leaders will teach what they know, but they reproduce who they are. So the reason why you want to lead by example is because you want to reproduce that example in others. Powerful, right? And then here's the last one, empowered decision-making and action. So what we want to do is we want to empower our people to make decisions and to take action. I'm going to give you a little tool that we use called the 10-80-10 principle. That's 10-80-10. And what we do is the 10 part is we want to make sure that our people are very clear on the purpose and the vision of what we're trying to accomplish. The what we're trying to accomplish and why is so important in the first 10. But then we want to empower our people in the next 80. And what we want to do is we don't want to tell them every little step of the way of how to do it. We want to empower them to use their gifts and their talents to be able to lead well and accomplish the vision, accomplish the objective. But what we need to do is we need to empower our people to make decisions. We need to empower our people to take action. And one of the things I'll say that I think what I've recognized is with a lot of leaders, they tell their people to take action and empower them. But then what happens is they micromanage them through the whole process. And all that does is it tells the people, well, I don't trust what you're doing. So part of empowering and making decisions and taking action is about letting your people figure out the how while you tell them the what and the why. And then that last 10 is what we call quality control. It's just making sure that we didn't get too far off. We're real clear on what we're looking to do. So let me recap what we just shared. In 2025, as you're going into planning for your organization, you're planning for your family, think about these two tools that we use. Business model alignment. You could also call it family first alignment. But the business model alignment is your purpose, clear purpose of why this organization exists, clear vision of where we're going, and clear values that we will abide by and keep to keep a high level ethics. Then you move to the next part, and that's giftedness. What is the thing that you and your team members are most gifted at, and how do we keep them in that 75% of their time? Then we go to a strategy. We build a strategy in each area of the business, each area of the ministry. And then metrics. How do we keep them accountable? So all the actions that are being done are leading to the outcomes that we want. Now, I don't expect anyone to do it perfectly. I don't do it perfectly. But I constantly am figuring out ways to improve. That's the first tool, business model alignment. Here's the second one. scale method. 400 leaders over 40 years, millions of leaders did this survey, and they said these are the 5 things that help organizations thrive and bring alignment. Share common vision, challenge the process, always speak to the heart, lead by example, and empower decision-making and action. Now, my friend, a lot of these things that I'm sharing with you are in my book. And I want to encourage you to pick up a copy. Go on chadreyes.com, that's CHADREYES.com, and you go to the book section and you can buy the book there. You can go on Amazon, you can go on Barnes & Noble. I mean, the book is in 140 different locations. So just pick up a copy of the book. You can go on Audible, the book's there as well, on Apple. But a lot of the things that I'm sharing are in there and they're deeper. And I just encourage you to go into it as you're leading into the new year. What we're finding is a lot of people are using the book. They're using it in the organizations that they work at. They're using it in the organizations that they own, and they're turning it into book clubs. And the reason is they're building common language around a lot of the principles that are in there. And I just want to encourage you as you're going into this new year, how are you going to be intentional with getting your people to have a business model alignment that they are aware of and they're working through, and scale method, and they're empowering their people to walk through that scale method? I just want to thank you for spending time with me today. I want to thank you for allowing me to just share what we're teaching leaders and we're sharing with leaders. You know, sometimes one of the biggest struggles is I talk about this and our team talks about this stuff, and we've learned it over 20 years of in business. But sometimes I feel inadequate sharing because I'm not doing it perfectly. But what I can tell you is there's not a day that my team and I are not trying to improve. So you don't need to be perfect. You just need to start moving. And I just want to challenge you right now that to make 2025 your best year ever. Be intentional. Go back and listen to all the previous leadership tables. You know, so hit the subscribe button. Comment on the things that have impacted you. You know, I want to hear from you and on the things that are making a difference that you're using. My team and I, it encourages us. Share comment, you know, put a comment in on the things that you'd like to see in the future. And if I can speak on it and I have moral authority to speak on it, then I will. But I just want to thank you for spending this time, allowing me to just come into your life. I hope that the stuff I'm sharing with you is making such an impact in your personal life, in your business life. May God continue to bless you. I thank you so much for allowing me, and appreciate all the opportunity to speak into your life. Be well. Until next week, I'm looking forward to it. Hey there, my friend Chad Reyes. I am so excited about our radio show coming up, The Leadership Table with Chad Reyes. It's every Sunday at 6:30. Then we're going to go live on Monday at 6:30 so you could ask your own questions. Jump on in. We cannot wait to have you join us. It's going to be a time where I invite some of the greatest leaders I know to join me at a table. And what I've learned about a leadership table is that's where potential is released. Every Sunday, you want to join us. You want to be sitting at that table with us so that you can reach your potential, you can release it in others, and you can accomplish your dreams. My friend, like, share, comment, drop a comment. I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing. I just can't wait for you to be on with us. I cannot wait. And listen, hey, hit subscribe at our YouTube channel. Visit chadreyes.com/WMCA and you'll get all the details you need. I'll see you on the table.